Hello, I'm Paul Chartier. We are honored to have the oldest people we've ever had on the program. We've got Kelly Oakley's not one of them, but Kelly Oakley with the Honor Flights, and Stella Mae West, and Curtis Harlan. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As you can see by their hats, these are veterans from World War II, and we're going to talk about the honor flights that they take back to Washington, and we're going to talk about their service. And it's really goosebump time to have you on, so thank you very much for your service and for taking time today to do the program.
Thank you very much.
Kelly, talk about what the honor flights are all about.
Well, we get the opportunity to serve veterans that have so graciously served our country. So we, all expense paid, we take them to Washington, D.C. to see all their memorials. And then we have a great welcome home when they get back to the airport. And so it's an honor to be part of it. And we just feel like it's the least we could do. So we take World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam War veterans. And
you take them from Kentucky?
We take ours out of Louisville.
Okay.
So there's two honor flights. There's Honor Flight Bluegrass and Honor Flight Kentucky. I'm with the one Honor Flight Bluegrass out of Louisville. So we fly out of Louisville and straight into Reagan Airport.
And then when you land in D.C., what do you do?
We get on a bus and we just start traveling to Arlington, World War II Memorial, Iwo Jima, Korean War Memorial, and the Vietnam Wall.
Well, it's amazing, and we'll talk about more about details in a minute. Stella?
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You look very patriotic and you look fantastic. Thank you. Tell us about your World War II experience and your all-ladies group that you were involved in.
Well, do you want to know what I did when I first arrived? I arrived in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia on October 15th, 1944. It was a long time ago. And that night, we all went to bed, we're supposed to, and some of the girls didn't want to go to bed early, so we got to do some extra duty next day. That was the beginning of my Army experience.
Yes.
I've had lots of things happen. After the war, I was shipped to the Far East. All of my friends went to Europe and I went to the East. I think they had a reason for that. And I drove a Jeep in Japan, 82 25th WAC Detachment in Japan.
And you were in an all-women's group.
Yes. There were 300 on the ship that we went over on, and there were 23 in our company in Tokyo.
That is quite amazing.
Absolutely.
And you're a sprite 93?
I'm 93 years old.
You look fantastic.
I'm going to be, oh. Thank you.
The term mischievous does not have an age, and it applies to you. Curtis,
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your military background.
Well, I was in Oklahoma that time, and I kept waiting for my draft number to come up, and it just never would come up, and all my buddies were already in. So I just hitchhiked to Oklahoma City and joined up. Yeah. And they sent me to Fort Sill, Oklahoma first, and we were only there a few days, and then they sent us down to Langland Field in San Antonio, and they didn't know what to do with us. They didn't know why we were sent there. So we just messed around there for a week or two, and finally they broke us up and sent us to our basic training places. So I went to someplace in Georgia, I forget where, and that's where I did my basic training. Yeah. And when I was assigned to the ordnance, and after a while I began to think the ordnance had something to do with the kitchen, because I was on KP so much. But anyhow, finally, I was stationed at a little sub base out of in Thomasville, Georgia. And then right before the invasion of Europe, the generals decided they had plenty of flyers and not enough foot soldiers. So they started transferring people out of the Air Force into the infantry wholesale. There were some guys in the final basic training flight school, and they went to the infantry. So I was caught up in that and went to Europe and won the war.
Well, I can't imagine, we can't imagine, when you live your daily lives and people know that you're veterans, what kind of reaction is there? How do they treat you? And how do you receive it?
In my family,
No, here in the community, when people know that you're veterans.
people are kind. They're nice. I've had so many people congratulate me. I come from Chicago 20 years ago, and Kentucky is just full of people who love veterans. And I think I've met all of them.
Well, good, and you deserve it. Curtis, when you're out in the community and people know that you're a veteran and they come up to you, how does that make you feel?
Well, when they say thank you for your service, I'm so damn tired of hearing that.
Oh, I love it.
But anyhow, that's it. They always think highly of me, it seems, and so I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to say it, but what you two have done, you're heroes in what you've done to be involved in something that we cannot even imagine.
Yeah.
Could I say something?
I wish you would. You don't seem very shy.
I'm not a hero. I was honored to serve my country in World War II. I was privileged to go into the Army, and because I was in the Army, I was able to go to school to get further education, and there were lots of benefits. And I have been serving with the American Legion for 63 years.
Well,
And
it's obvious that humility is a big part of who you are, and that's a very endearing quality.
Well, you know, the greatest thing that came out of the war was the GI Bill of Rights.
Well, it's a great one.
I got 2 degrees there, and they helped me with part of my my doctorate. It's a great thing.
What was your degree in?
Civil engineering,
And your doctorate was in?
and well, they called it environmental engineering then. Yeah.
Amazing. The hero flights that you've gone on the flights,
13 of them.
and what's the reaction like at the airport when you leave and then when you get to Washington?
Well, we just have such a great support group, you know, that's there. And it takes a lot to put these together.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
it takes hundreds of volunteers. But, you know, the veterans, they're a little anxious. They're a little nervous, but for the most part, you know, they're ready to go. But all of them, they have that same, that they're humble. You know, when they don't, when we're thanking them and loving on them, they're just like, they don't, they're like,
just
we
doing-
don't,
they're
they're like,
just
we did
doing
a
their thing.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
our job. What are you talking about? So, and then when we get to DC, it's pretty neat because there's so many people there. They know when honor flights are coming in because there's about 130 hubs across the country. And so in DC, they know when we're coming in. And then, of course, when we come home, there's about 1,500 that are waiting at the airport. And for this group, and for the Korean War veterans and the Vietnam veterans that didn't get that appropriate welcome home, there's a lot of tears. There's a lot of tears.
And how are you funded?
Generous people. donors. It's just basically generous people. You know, they want to help. It costs us about $500 per veteran to take them. So you know, people are just, there's some companies that get involved. They just want to help veterans.
Do you have a website?
Yes, honorflightbluegrass.org.
Say it again slower.
honorflightbluegrass.org.
And on that website, they can look at the flight schedules.
Right.
They can look at how to donate.
Right.
And what else is on that site?
They can apply as a veteran. We have a database and a waiting list for veterans to go, apply as a volunteer, and apply as a guardian, because we take a full medical staff, and then we also have a guardian for each veteran, because you got to keep them straight. They are a mess.
Like I said, mischief is an understatement, and they can tend to stray even in the little
Yes.
time that I've known them. But I love them for that.
Yes, absolutely.
You're the one, and we get along. We get along just fine. People that grew up without that military background, it obviously gave you some inherent change in how you are as a person. What did it do for you as a person to be a veteran?
To be a veteran? Well, like I said, I was able to go to school and become something. Otherwise, I would have been in West Virginia, probably a housewife with a half a dozen kids.
It seems to me like you have a deeper appreciation for our country
Oh, I
because
do.
of the effort that you went to.
I do. I had lots of privileges because I was in the service.
And Curtis, as a veteran, what did being part of the military do for you as a person in this country?
Well, I think it. Well, I guess I appreciated what we had here more, because I saw those people over there that the French and the Germans, you know, the way they had to live, and so I was when the war in Europe was over, they had a point system. They gave you points for the length of service and all that stuff, and if you had a certain number of points, they sent you home to be discharged, and if you had too few, they sent you to the Pacific Theater.
Oh my gosh.
And those right in the middle, they stayed in the Army of Occupation, and that's where I fell. So I was in Heidelberg, Germany. That was the 7th Army headquarters for 6 months before I came home. That was a great experience.
We can't dream of what you went through. We can see in movies, and that's just a flavor of it, but we respect you more and honor you more. And as I thank you, what would be an appropriate thing for people to say to you to thank you for serving in the military? And I know what you mean, thank you for your service. It's like in our thoughts and prayers. I mean, we just hear that. So what would be a thing that someone could say to you that would make you think, my gosh, you're welcome?
Well, I guess that's about it. Thank you for your service, as trite as that is, and as repetitious as it seems to be.
I can imagine.
But I think that's about it.
Well, Stella May, great to meet you.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much for being here and for being a veteran. Curtis, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
If people can imagine that these two together are almost 200 years old,
Whoa.
that is amazing. That is amazing. And Kelly, thank you for keeping them on track and coordinating all the honor flights. It is fantastic what you do.
Thanks. And they'll be at our D-Day event.
Great.
Yep.
And you can find out more about that on your website.
On the website, absolutely.
On June 6th.
Yep.
Thank you for watching. Go to the website. Go to what website?
honorflightbluegrass.org.
We'll be right back on Paul Short here.